Namaste. Welcome to another edition of Navimash podcast. So today we are again back with one more important podcast with regard to the elections which is happening in West Bengal. And today we have with us a veteran journalist of 30 years of experience with us, Mr. Surajit Dashgupta. So today, as you can see in the topic itself, why West Bengal matters. So in the social media, in the mainstream media, in the newsroom media, we are seeing tremendous coverage being done because we have Home Minister Amit Shah is there in West Bengal for last 15 days. He will be there till 29th. And we also have our Prime Minister being there in West Bengal campaigning today in North Kolkata. So we have seen the big biggies of BJP and of government functionaries are there in Bengal. So why there is so much importance given to Bengal? Why Bengal matters? So Namaste, Sojitda.
Namaste.
So Surajitda, the first question, without doing too much of an intro, let's deep dive into the discussion. So first question, why Bengal matters and why we have HM and PM in Bengal right now today.
Bengal matters not only because of its glorious heritage, but also because of the current geopolitical reality where it is a border state, a very sensitive border state, and the country on the other side of the border happens to be a Bengali speaking country, the residents of which are sometimes difficult for other Indians to distinguish from the Bengali population of West Bengal. And this scourge of infiltration, which has threatened to change the demography of not only Bengal, but also the rest of the country. And then the struggle of the administration to identify them and the local Trinamool Congress administration coming in the way of national security. These are concerns. These are concerns that the center, that is the union government led by Prime Minister Narendra Modi, was well aware of. However, as we have seen in the past 12 years, that Mr. Modi prioritizes his battles. There are a lot of things that were amiss, that were not in place, that were incorrect in the way India was being governed between 1947 and 2014. However, Mr. Modi did not open all the fronts together. We have seen a whole lot of reforms. We have seen the removal of Article 370, its applicability on Jammu and Kashmir. We have seen the reclaiming of the Ayodhya Ram Mandir. We have seen triple talaq being abolished. We have seen even very modern moves like removal of the Section 377, which made homosexuality a crime. But in the case of, let's consider CAA, the Citizenship Amendment Act, we saw how, in the name of democratic protests, violent riots were engineered all across the country. And we can quite understand what happens whenever Mr. Modi tries to change, tries to reform any section of governance, what kind of reactions we get. So imagine trying to alter the way things have been under Mamata Banerjee in West Bengal. If he had simultaneously opened all these fronts, as it is said in military strategy, it's never advisable to fight a two-front war or a multiple front war. So you cannot, just pick enmity or antagonism against multiple adversaries. That is one issue. Now, what happened in 2021 after the last assembly elections in West Bengal is that there was terrible violence against the opponents of the government, particularly the BJP, and in particular the Hindus of BJP. So the Hindu Karyakartas, the Hindu workers, were butchered mercilessly. Their houses were razed. Their women folk were raped. and people cried for help. It was alleged that many local leaders did not even pick their phones. They did not even receive the calls for help by the lower level karyakartas. And since then, for the past 5 years, Indians in general and Bengali in particular, including Bengalis like you and me who live outside Bengal, have been urging the government to do something about the state, or else, given the demographic reality and given the terrible, the alarming frequency of communal riots, they should rather be called pogrom, because Hindus are targeted in a one sided manner. In a riot, both the sides attack and both the sides lose people. But particularly since 2017, it started in 2013, but 2017 onwards, the riots became more and more intense. And there have been at least two riots on average in West Bengal targeting Hindus. Now, right about a year after the 2021 polls, an incident happened in northern India, which was BJP activist Tajinder Singh Bagga was arrested by Punjab police. At the time when he was being whisked away to Punjab, Haryana police intervened and Delhi police intervened and rescued him and brought him back. That incident demonstrated that if and when the Modi government wanted to intervene, it could come in the way of state governments as well. And then people asked, why was this same intervention not used in the case of West Bengal? People demanded president's rule. Now, what we are seeing right now is that while the BJP is kind of ideologically committed never to impose Article 356, which is president's rule on West Bengal, the ongoing elections are being held virtually in a president's rule kind of atmosphere, where except for regular law and order cases, the West Bengal police, which has always been infamous for being an extension counter of the ruling party in the state, its powers have been stripped, and it has to work in coordination with the Central Armed Police Force, CAPF, under which there is CRPF, there is CISF, there is BSF, there is Assam Rifles, there is ITBP, etc. Now, even then, in the first round of the election, we saw some trouble, although mercifully, there was no political murder. But in multiple centers, we found violence, we found polling agents of the BJP being thrown out, we found certain BJP candidates manhandled. But barring these instances, the way this election has been handled by the center with the help of the election commission, which is only doing its duty, which it should have done 5 years ago as well, and even in 2024 Lok Sabha elections. Take, for example, the margin with which Abhishek Banerjee won from Diamond Harbour 2 years ago. That's incredible. It's unbelievable that you win by 7.5 lakh, roughly 7.5 lakh votes. The last time we heard of huge margins of victory in Lok Sabha elections, which have the largest constituencies. First, we heard of Narasimha Rao winning from Andhra Pradesh. Then we heard of Rambilas Paswan winning from, I think, Hajipur in Bihar. And even they paled in comparison to the margin with which Abhishek Banerjee won. And just about a couple of months ago, there was a ruckus in his constituency, and the henchmen and thugs of the Trinamool Congress, there were two factions that fought with each other, and one of them started singing. The side that was roughed up started singing. They revealed how Abhishek Banerjee managed to win that election. So taking these things into consideration, and while verifying the claims of Bengalis like us, that West Bengal is not like the rest of the country. It is not even as, if you consider how bad the situation is, you cannot even compare it with Lalu Prasad Yadav's Jungle Raj. You cannot even compare it with the yesteryear's ballot box voting, where entire boxes were stolen, rather robbed. This is like an EVM machine being manipulated. Many people have seen that the topmost button in the Diamond Harbour seat, the EVM, had the entry for BJP, and that was taped out so that nobody could press that button. Things like that happened. Following the elections again, since there were a lot of turncoats from the Trinamool Congress into the BJP, they were humiliated. Some of the BJP even leaders were forced. I believe that Babul Supriyo went back to, I wouldn't say went back because he was not there earlier. He went to Trinamool Congress under threat, under coercion, because the way things were happening in Asansol, and he was getting no support there. And even if you consider turncoats, take for example Mukul Rai, who was in the BJP for a short while. He is no more now. Now, he was known for election management or mismanagement. He used to do that job for the TMC. Strangely, when he came to the BJP, he was not utilized like that. So one wonders why he was brought at all. And then he went back, he became senile, he got into a vegetative state, and things that he said in his final months and years made no sense. He became politically useless. Anyway, the thing is, coming back to your question, why is West Bengal so important? What happens if the BJP does not take care of West Bengal? Well, it will secede from the country. Already the kind of attitude we used to see until recently, fortunately that has changed now, even among Bengali Hindus of West Bengal, as though nothing wrong was happening. Why was, even by fair means, it was so difficult to remove the Trinamool Congress? I am speaking in past tense because things are very promising right now. Trinamool Congress may well be on its way out. Anyway, we'll come to that later. So this ostrich-like attitude of local Bengalis, particularly Hindus, as though everything was hunky-dory, not so much in North Bengal, where Bengali Hindus were more aware of the critical nature of the situation. In southern Bengal, in and around Kolkata, there was this predominance of leftist and woke Bengalis who just refused to believe what was going on. Things couldn't have been left at their mercy. If we did, then we would lose the state. And I would say that sooner or later, in one of the future elections of Punjab, you will see the same thing. As I said in the beginning, that Mr. Modi does not open multiple fronts simultaneously. Punjab also is a festering issue, but we'll come to that later. Mr. Modi will come to that later. So it's one battle at a time, and the Central Security Forces and the Election Commission make us quite positive, quite optimistic about a free and fair election. You have seen more than 92% of turnout in the first round. What does that mean? That means that, consider two situations. Let's say last time 83% of people voted, and this time in the first round it is above 92%. Now consider 80% for a rounded up figure for convenience. Now 80 out of 100 people vote, 40 of them are fake. All right. So what happens while you are getting an overall figure of 80% voter turnout? It is actually more than 50% of that, that is 40 people out of those 80 are voting for the TMC. And out of the remaining 40, even about 50%, let's say 20 more would be voting for the TMC. What is left to fight then? There's no battle left. Now consider 80 people fighting, all of whom are genuine voters. That makes a big difference. And why this makes a difference is that even if a part of these 80 people, this time it is 92, of course, a part of these 92 people are TMC voters. Who are the people who were not allowed to vote the last time? People who were threatened at home, people whose passage to the nearest polling booth was blocked, who were told আপনার vote পড়ে গেছে, বাড়ি যান. Things like people like these have voted this time, who were deprived the last time. So it's things are very positive this time. West Bengal is poised for a change, and this was very important for the country.
Uh, I will quote you some data and then I will take your assessment and also take your comments. First of all, we have seen the Bengali migrant labor, the not labor, I would say middle class or lower middle class people, people who do normal blue collar jobs. They have come in droves to vote. Many of them
Yes.
for TMC, many of them
Yes.
also for BJP. And we also see for the first time in my lifetime, I haven't seen software engineers booking their tickets from Bengaluru and come to Bengal to vote. I don't know who they voted for, but have you observed this unprecedented historic event happening in your lifetime, where the like non-resident Bengalis like you and I, okay, would spend 20K to and fro just to go and vote, and this has happened this time. What it suggests, or what it shows in terms of historicness of this elections?
While on the one hand, across elections in India, the poor and the lower middle class have always voted in larger numbers than the upper middle class and the rich. What is different in the case of West Bengal this time is that a larger bulk of these migrant workers are pro BJP voters. I mean, you look at the videos of them, reaching different railway stations, ISBTs, mostly railway stations, and inside the coaches, and they have filmed themselves chanting the slogan Jai Shri Ram. It leaves nothing to imagination. You don't have to imagine whose voters they are. And the pain along with the exuberance is so telling. It's so palpable that you see the pain of people who love their state, unable to work in their state, having to migrate to faraway states for livelihood, and they would not like to do that. In fact, I remember that after the Trinamool Congress had won in 2011 for the first time, I tagged Derek O'Brien and said that when I had left Kolkata, it was a very sad state of affairs. Should I come back? Will you improve the condition of the state? And he wrote back, he said, yeah, come back, come back. Now, thank God I did not listen to him. It's so terrible. Right from childhood, I have seen in the different neighborhoods of Kolkata, as and when I used to come from a place in which is now Jharkhand. It used to be South Bihar back then. And things were so strange then, as and when we would come during the elections, we saw that same situation. Residents who have been marked as pro-opposition or anti-government, they were threatened. Their passages to the polling booths were blocked. But it used to happen in more of a subtle way. You could even lie your way through it. Like the on this 23rd of April in Malda, there is a polling booth where there are about 400 or 450 odd Hindu families, and the rest are all Muslims. They were not being allowed to vote until the central forces arrived. So they were asking. One of the villagers said that they were asking on the way, "Are you going to vote for Mamata Banerjee?" Because as Mamata Banerjee says, she is the candidate across 294 seats. ludicrous as that may be. But these polling agents and other thugs of the TMC were asking incoming potential voters, "Are you going to vote for the for Didi, for Pishi, for Mamata Bandyopadhyay?" And this guy was honest for reason known based to him. It is, I would advise, just light through your teeth. And he just returned like a simpleton. And there were other youngsters who were quite upfront about it. They said, "No, we are BJP voters." And they were thrashed. Their mobile phones were broken when they tried, they were snatched away and broken when they tried to film the whole thing. Anyway, about half a day later, the central forces arrived and they could vote. And this was a situation prevailing even under the CPM rule for 34 years, but in a more subtle way. It was not very clearly, are you a CPM voter? Because what happens is that Bengali community, I mean no disrespect, but the Bengali community is a garrulous lot, is a talkative lot. And they chit chat a lot about politics. When they do, whether it is in a community club, whether while playing carom with your neighbors, whether at the college canteen, when you speak on politics, your tastes and preferences get revealed, get exposed. And even that is enough for you to be targeted during the next election. So this is the thing that has always happened in West Bengal, that atmosphere of fear, that situation of blockade, of violence, etc. And this is something that the central authorities, not only any government in power, for example, Indira Gandhi and Rajiv Gandhi, and then Narasimha Rao during the Congress years at the center, and then there was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. I remember that my boss of one time when I was working with the Pioneer, Mr. Chandan Mitra, who was the chief editor, used to be with the BJP then. And twice he fought from Howrah. On both occasions, he lost. And after losing each time, he complained in his column. It is in the public domain. One can find out from the archives of the Pioneer. He complained that he failed to impress upon the BJP leadership that participating in an election in West Bengal is not the same as doing so in the rest of the country. Until and unless you can assure the voter of his safety, they are not going to vote for you. This is the big change we are seeing even before the election started. We saw the police accompanied by the central forces reaching out to villagers, every village, and then telling them not to fear anybody and to vote who they wish to, vote for whoever they wish to. So that was a big change. Yeah.
So last two questions I will have for you, and then we have one more program to go to. So first question, the second last question. Do you think in 1977, when the CPM came into power, West Bengal became the North Korea of India?
It became the kind of North Korea of India much before. In 1968, Mr. Aditya Birla was coming out of his office. This was the place near Dalhousie Square, where you have around you the General Post Office, you have the Eden Gardens, you have the Akashvani Bhavan, around that area in Kolkata. And he was dragged out of his car. He was stripped almost naked, left left with his undergarments only, and he was chased on the road. And when he survived that ordeal, he decided to take his headquarters of the Birla Group away from Kolkata. And this was such a symbolic thing, so terrorizing, that almost the entire industry, all large-scale industries, decided to shut their shops in West Bengal and move elsewhere. Now, between 1968 and 1977, there were a few interim governments. And since the Naxalism had been very active and rampant and rife in West Bengal between 1966 and 1972, kind of spade work had been done for the communists. Since the Naxals were not mainstream politicians, they couldn't be voted to power, but the kind of atmosphere that they built helped CPM come to power. So there were also stretches of president's rule in between. And then there were, like Jyoti Basu wasn't the chief minister right away. He became later. But then what happened was that it was a period much before 1991 when Soviet Union collapsed. And therefore, people, including national level politicians, did not have an inkling of the fact or a prescient view of the future that communism is going to collapse worldwide. And the Soviet Union is going to disintegrate into 22 different parts. Initially, when it broke down, it was Russia and 21 CIS countries, Commonwealth of Independent States. You know, all these Muslim Central Asian countries like Kazakhstan, Uzbekistan, Turkmenistan, so Tajikistan, and all these. Then there was Ukraine, there was Georgia. Altogether, there were 21 states that Russia had occupied. And what is more important in the context of your question is that Mikhail Gorbachev, the last president of the Soviet Union, realized how from inside everything had corroded away in his country. And only because of the Iron Curtain of censorship, the people across the world did not know what was going on inside, which is why he began glasnost and perestroika, transparency and democracy. Now, such a thing hadn't happened in India. Even now, today, there are many starry-eyed socialists in Uttar Pradesh and Bihar. So how horrible an ideology, communism and socialism can be, the center had no idea. They let Jyoti Basu be. They let him do whatever he wanted. They did not intervene. And even politically, not just administratively, they did not intervene even in terms of the ruling party at the center. As I named the prime ministers of the Congress, Indira, Rajiv Gandhi, and then Narasimha Rao, Congress workers used to get butchered in broad daylight in Calcutta, and these prime ministers did not care. And then when for 6 years, first for a year and then for 5 more years, Mr. Atal Bihari Vajpayee was there, his hands were, of course, tied by coalition dharma. He did not have the kind of spectacular majority that Mr. Narendra Modi has enjoyed at least for 2 terms. And even now with 240 seats of the BJP, since the allies are rock solid, he is in a very good position to implement all the ideological ideas of the Sangh, as well as things that are necessary for the country, other things that are necessary for the country. And therefore, the question of Bengal being the North Korea of India is somewhat like, if I may draw that analogy, that if any day the United States wishes, North Korea's dictatorial regime can end. But has the United States wished it as so far? No. Similarly, all these governments preceding Mr. Narendra Modi's were like the United States staying far away, once in a while issuing a statement condemning what is happening in North Korea. And they would do the same thing with Jyoti Basu's Bengal, or and then Buddhadev Bhattacharya's Bengal. Imagine the period between 2007 and 2011. Finally, Mamata Banerjee came to power. What if, what if the Nandigram agitation and the Singur agitation had been spearheaded by the BJP instead of the TMC? Imagine the scenario today. Of course, the BJP wouldn't be anti-industry, so it might not have done anything in Singur, but at least in Nandigram, where Buddhadev Bhattacharya was bringing in a notorious company called the Salem Group from Indonesia, there were all reasons, all the good reasons to intervene, to interject. But then Bengal was a distant place, not only a distant place, but also a distant idea for much of North India back then. So they sat back like spectators, somewhat even enjoying the show. And all that while, all those 34 years of communist rule, you know what people in the bipolar state used to say? People used to say, all right, we understand that Jyoti Basu is not good for the state. We understand that Buddhadev Bhattacharya is not good for the state. We understand that communism is a bad policy, especially since Narasimha Rao demonstrated how the alternative way of running the economy is a much better idea. It created our class, our economic stratum. My economic stratum came into existence thanks to Rao, thanks to Prime Minister Rao. You know, my father, my grandfather, and I'm sure yours as well, we used to, kind of euphemize our economic status by calling ourselves middle class. We used to be poor people. You know, in the 1980s, I remember reading a magazine, an issue of Competition Success Review, and there was a quiz section there. The question was, what is the salary of the President of India? And the answer was rupees 9,999. Imagine the kind of economy we lived in, where the highest paid government servant's salary was 9,999. The second highest paid government servant was the Chief Justice of India. And what was the income of IAS officers? Between 4,000 and 6,000 rupees. Second grade officers, up to 4,000 rupees. Third grade officials, between 2,000 and that. Okay, and don't think that, okay, things were easier because the commodities used to be much cheaper. No, that's not the case. I remember as children when we used to do window shopping, and I would tell my father, and it was the same across my peer group. We told our fathers to buy us something, and they would say, we'll think about it next month, next quarter, next year, maybe. If it's a big thing like a fridge or a TV, maybe 5 years later. Scooter, forget it. And motorcycle, we can't even think about it. Forget about a car. So no, we have come to a much better place. We have emerged from the North Korean kind of conundrum that we were forced into, and West Bengal used to be the worst place out of that. Even under kind of better off situation under the CPM than under the TMC. I remember while visiting Kolkata, the kind of bus fare, the kind of auto rickshaw fare, the kind of rickshaw fare of that place is ridiculously low. Food is ridiculously cheap. Why is it so? Because people cannot afford if you raise the prices. So that is the kind of India from which we emerged, and that is the kind of Bengal from which Bengal must emerge. And it is so dark now. It is not only a question of economic rights, it is also a question of communal existence. Our community is threatened And so this is worse than North Korea. In North Korea, there is no religious problem. In West Bengal, there is. The ruling dispensation is hostile to Hindus. So yeah, it's worse than North Korea. Yes, can't hear you.
Yeah. So we were just talking about the political legacy and the spiritual
Hmm.
legacy of Bengal, and in that context, Janasangh was founded in 1950s. Then we had Janasangh gave way to BJP, and Janasangh was founded by Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. So, would you like to share your comment, your thoughts, the political and spiritual thoughts on the legacy of Janasangh, Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, and is PM Modi the legacy holder, the holder of ideological uh, flowers in terms of the politics and spirituality have come together, and we see
Yeah.
PM Modi and Amit Shah being here for last 5 days for Narendra Modi and
Hmm.
10 days for Amit Shah. So is this more than politics when we see the PM and HM being in Bengal as the holders of legacy, the motherland of Hindutva?
I'm so glad you brought in the name of Dr. Shyama Prasad Mukherjee. And but for him, we wouldn't have a state called West Bengal with India, because as per the partition formula, any place that was Muslim dominated was to go to Pakistan, and Bengal was considered as a whole, not as Purvo Bongo and Paschim Bongo. That was not how they were thinking about it. So even as there were pockets in undivided Bengal, which are now in Bangladesh, which went to East Pakistan, which were Hindu dominated, because of convenience, they were given away to East Pakistan. For example, my mother hailed from Khulna, from district Khulna, and Khulna used to be Hindu dominated. My father hailed from Chittagong, and the Chittagong hill tracts were Hindu dominated. If you go to Assam, especially the town of Shilchar, you will meet a whole lot of Bengalis who hail from Sylhet. Sylhet used to be Hindu dominated. All these places were given away to East Pakistan, and instead we were given to troublesome spots, Malda and Murshidabad. Because of continuity of map, you consider the map of West Bengal. If you remove Malda and Murshidabad, your connection with North Bengal snaps. Whereas if you take Khulna, it is not exactly at the border of Bangladesh. So it was difficult for the cartographers to make a map out of that. Which is why, for convenience, since India lost Khulna, Chittagong hill tracts, and Sylhet, they were compensated with two Muslim dominated areas, Malda and Murshidabad. Now, if you consider this thing that we are left with, thanks to Shyama Prasad Mukherjee, this piece of land, this piece of culture, which is more important than land, because as things have progressed since 1947 or 1971, the Bengali society of West Bengal hasn't quite shaped up like the Bengali society of Bangladesh, right? And the threat that we face, the cultural existential threat we face in West Bengal today, is that this difference is going to be blurred increasingly, just like in Bangladesh during an Islamic process called Ijtima. You see those trains crowded with Muslim pilgrims on their roofs converging at a place. Such a thing happens even in Bengal. It happens in Murshidabad, it happens in Malda, it happens in Uttar Dinajpur, in parts of North and South Parganas. in parts of Birbhum, and very soon, if not checked, it will happen in Kolkata as well. These riots that I was talking about, if anybody mapped them, it would appear that somebody with a deliberate plan was encircling Kolkata with a noose and continuously tightening its grip. So this would soon happen there. And the idea behind Home Minister Amit Shah staying put in the state for the last 15 days of the election season would mean that his position as an authority from the center would convey a kind of respect, a kind of awe, which is why the terrible things that the Trinamool Congress as well as their police get away with, they cannot dare against him. So it's a combination of an effort to save our culture, our civilization, our Hindu way of life, and also in terms of the administrative unity and integrity of the place with India. You think about the native Muslims of Malda and Murshidabad and Dinajpur. Even they are getting a raw deal. So it is not entirely a communal question that it is Hindu versus Muslim. Yes, it is when it comes to Indians versus infiltrators. But even otherwise, as officially a secular party, the BJP can only do this much and no more. So what was the extent to which the BJP was ready to go? This is the extent. What you see right now is the extent. And it also entails the very combative speech Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been giving, beginning with his Brigade Parade Ground address, which is now about a month behind us. But beginning with that, if you compare with the situation 5 years ago, he hadn't conducted so many rallies. This time, why is he doing that? Because he is getting enthused from the feedback from the ground. The way villagers in Purulia, in Bankura, in Bardhaman, in Shiliguri, in different parts of the state are responding with the slogan of Jai Shri Ram, the way they are thronging to any place that where Mr. Modi is scheduled to speak or Mr. Amit Shah is scheduled to speak, and contrast that with the thin and slim attendance in the public meetings of Mamata Banerjee, even in her home turf of Bhawanipur. Yesterday, she complained that while she was trying to deliver her speech, loudspeaker from a nearby Shubhendu Adhikari's show was disturbing her, and so she left. That was her claim. She sought forgiveness from the audience and left. The camera did not turn towards the audience. But what was later revealed was that beyond the few seats that Karyakartas occupy, the chairs were empty. It was embarrassing for her. We also saw her attempted road shows in Bhawanipur going empty, where security forces personnel outnumber general people. We have seen her doing namaskar and nobody responding. Whereas at the same time, when even small time BJP leaders who have been given tickets this time are reaching out to the victims of 2021, instead of complaining, they may be breaking down. Their pain is still unbearable. Somebody lost his child, somebody lost her daughter, and they're not complaining. They are saying that we have come back with vengeance. So this is the kind of feedback, this is the kind of response that the people of Bengal are giving to the BJP this time, which encourages the top leadership all the more to go all out. And that's what is happening.
Thank you, Surajit da, for this wonderful discussion that we had. We hope to see you again with few more discussion in Bengali and also in English in coming for the second phase of the elections and few more other things that we had talked about. But thank you again for your time. We'll see you again. So, Jai Shri Ram, Vande Mataram.
Jai Shri Ram. Vande Mataram.